They look at us like, who's these niggas, man? But guess what? We're more precious in the sight of the Lord than any race on this earth, man. The Israelite man is a top man on this planet. And when we come into power, what you think is gonna happen, man? We're gonna put you so-called white people in slavery, man. So the Lord said he's gonna make a man more precious than the fine gold of Ophir, man. Or of Euphaz. Cause right now, we the scum of the earth, man. Everybody look down on us and they look at us with disdain.
Hey, well, we the polar opposite of the so-called white man.
Exactly.
Of the so-called white man. Everybody looks up to these devils, man. Like they're gods, and you know, basically because they're in rulership right now.
That's right.
And you so-called Negroes and Latinos are basically the slaves, the so-called scum of the earth today, man. All right. And when the tables is flipped over, when it's turned, everybody's gonna want to be like the so-called Negroes and Latinos and Native Americans.
That's right. All these other nations, they're gonna cater to us, man.
And they're gonna look down on the so-called white man.
That's right.
They're gonna look down on the so-called white man, just like how everybody looks down on you Negroes today. So you so-called crackers, even though these devils are lazy today.
Yeah.
But you know, it sticks to being a so-called black man when you talk about laziness.
When you look on the job sites, the majority of the people on them damn sites, on construction sites, are Israelites, man.
Yeah.
Even the straight up looking Israelites, or they either Irish or Italian. Even a lot of them Polacks be Israelites, man.
Yeah.
But when you look at it, the ones that are the supervisors, those are the ones that be the Edomites, man. But the ones out there grinding is Israelites, man. Jake, you got Jakes that are lazy, but the majority of our people is the reason why this society runs, man. Like 5 years ago with the bus strike in New York, who was striking? It was Israelites that struck.
Of course because your slave is gonna be fucking lazy, man.
Yeah.
You working them to goddamn death,
That's
man.
right.
All right. Of course, a slave. Not that they lazy, but they fucking tired of being overworked, man.
That's right.
They're tired of being overworked. So of course that stigma is gonna be on them. The ruling class. If you were sitting here ruling, you pressing fucking buttons all day, man. All right. And the person that's supposed to be working for you, if they ain't doing the job at the in the time period that you want them to do it, you gonna call them lazy. You gonna call them a bum. You gonna call them all kind of shit, man. Any kind of derogatory name that you could think of, man. But does that make us lazy? You fucking white people are lazy, man.
That's right.
You goddamn devils are lazy, man. You don't do shit. Literally, man. No. As far as physical work, you goddamn crackers don't know how to do that, man. All right. Watch that movie Foxcatcher, man. Check out any of these goddamn elites. Any of these elite families, man. Their descendants ain't never worked a fucking day in their life, man. They never worked a day in their life, man. They don't know what it's like to get up, 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning to go to fucking work, man. All right? Anytime they don't, first of all, they don't wake up that fucking early, man. All right? But anytime they do, they wake up when the work time period starts, because they giving orders, man.
That's right.
It's not hard to give orders, man. All right? It's hard to be the ones that's actually doing the work, man. The physical labor. All right?
That's right. That's why the Lord about to turn the tables, man. You got what scripture you got?
Jeremiah 15:5. For who shall have pity upon thee, O Jerusalem?
Yeah, the only one that's gonna have pity is the Most High. The fact that we understand that we Israelites is the Lord having pity on us, man. Because the Lord could have easily kept us in the world, bugged the fuck out, man. Seeking after vanity. But the Lord chose us for whatever reason to bring us into this truth. That's the Lord having pity, man. Continue.
Or who shall bemoan thee, or who shall go aside to ask, how is that doing?
Yeah, because these other nations don't give a fuck about you, man. They don't give two shits about you. But you have compassion on them, man. We ain't gonna have compassion on these other nations, man. It's not just the so-called white man, these crackers, the Arabs. We gonna kick their fucking ass too, man. The Chinese, we gonna kick their ass. The East Indians, we gonna kick their ass. All these other nations, we gonna kick their ass, man. The Hawaiians, the Polynesians, all these different races outside the nation of Israel, we gonna kick their ass, man.
Hey, let me say one thing. Hey, that's why they don't give Jake no contribution for the makeup of this country, man.
That's right.
Like me and his brother was talking about it the other day. All right, how Jake did a whole lot, but they want to they'll give more credit to the other nations, man.
Yeah.
Like what you was telling me about the railroads out there in the West, they'll give credit to the Chinese.
Yeah.
and so forth. Like Jake can have no part of that, man.
I told when I was talking to this Ecuadorian, is an Israelite, and you know, he said who created? I mean, how was this country built? Like slavery. He's like, no, I'm talking about the Irish, the Italians. It's like slave labor is worse than freaking them coming here and working.
That's right.
And he said, oh no, the Chinese, they came and they built. I said, yeah, they built the railroad, but they got paid cheap. He said, oh, they got paid cheap labor. So wait a minute, getting paid cheap labor is different. Be getting paid nothing. You get more production when nobody's getting paid. They get paid somebody cheap labor. It's that simple.
That's how America became wealthy, man.
Yeah.
They maximized their profits. When they was selling, when they had the sugar cane plantation or different plantation, they was making money trading. Cotton. Where do you think the cotton was going? The cotton was going throughout the earth, man. And guess what? They didn't have to pay nobody, man. So how the hell? But I heard you had Irish who said the Irish built America. How stupid can you fucking people be, man? Slave labor is what made America a great nation, man. The slavery of our people.
Hey, first of all, the Irish they ain't really start coming over here until the turn of the I forget what's the 1800s. All right, and they show you that in that movie Gangs of New York, when the Irish started flocking over here to the Americas, man.
Right.
All right, slavery been existing in America long before then, man. The bulk of the slaves came to America during the 1600s, man. Before America was considered the United States of America, or at least the 13 colonized states, man. Slaves was already over here in America, man. All right, me and this brother watched. We were into watching Black Sails, man. All right, they'll show you about piracy. When the pirates, basically, when pre-colonialism, when it first started, when they was coming over here into the Caribbean islands and the Bahamas and so forth, man. All right, when you had pirates on the seas, man, because you had the colonies was getting set up, but they was trading with Europe and different countries, and you had pirates in the Atlantic Ocean basically robbing the ships for the goods. They had certain places where they had a haven at, which is basically the Bahamas and Jamaica. Yeah, Nassau's in the Bahamas, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or Barbados, one of them islands out there. But you also had Jamaica. You also had the island of Jamaica. You know, that was like a rest haven for pirates, where they could fence off all the merchandise from the ships that they stole. And a lot of that stolen merchandise on them ships was also slave ships, where they were stealing some of the slaves and then recruiting them to be pirates on their ships. So they were black pirates, man.
And that's what the Pirates of the Caribbean is about.
Yo.
Why is it called Pirates of the Caribbean? Because it was taking place, what this brother's talking about, all in the Caribbean. The economy of this country was solely built up on slave labor. Where you think they got the money? Where do you think the money came from for them to be able to build skyscrapers? One of the first commodities traded down there on Wall Street was what? Slaves. The stock market itself was basically, the commodity was slaves. Then pork bellies, orange juice, and all that other shit came years after. But the main commodity down there, that's where the auctioning block was, right down there. Where what's called the New York Stock Exchange sits. Slaves was traded down there. And down in Wall Street. That was the economy and the structure of America back at the beginning of it. It was slavery. So the Irish and the Italians played a really big role in like building up a lot of these buildings. With you go back to Carnegie Steel. Carnegie Steel, who was working for Carnegie? Carnegie was Irish. Who was working for him? He had his Irishman brethren working for him. There was some Italian sprinkled up in there, and they were working for what? Cheap labor. They weren't brought over here and were working for free. It's a difference when you're working for free and you're being compensated a wage. No matter what the wage is, they still were being compensated. Slavery, you wasn't getting no your compensation was if you didn't bale that hay fast enough, if you baled it fast enough, you might have not got your ass whooped. That was your compensation. Or your compensation was that slop that they fed us. That was your compensation right there. Or if you had a fine-ass daughter, they took your daughter and made her a comfort girl. So when the Irish and the Italians came here, they weren't, they came here for a better life. They got jobs. A lot of them turned to the streets. That's how the mafia became big over here. But they came over here because they was being See, a lot of them Italians that came over here at the turn of the century, about 95% of them was niggas anyway. Sicilians. They were from the south. So they were niggas anyway. They were fathered by niggas over there. And they were being oppressed by the lighter Italians that were in the north, who were making all the money. So the darker ones that was in the south, they left for a better life. And that's they came here into the cities of Chicago, Boston, mainly New York, Chicago, Boston, all of them cities, and tried to make a living for themselves. The Irish came over here there was a big potato famine out in Ireland. That was like the biggest source of nutrients in Ireland for hundreds of years. There was some type of parasite or some type of bug that was destroying the potato crop. So they had to flee. But now the Irish, they were also carted around different parts of the world on slave ships too. And a lot of them, which people ain't gonna believe, a lot of them Irish, I ain't say all of them, I said a lot of them was niggas too. Because the Moors had conquered Scotland and Ireland and left a lot of black babies over there. So if you look up a guy named, I think the guy's named Oliver Cromwell, this British guy, he was responsible for putting the Irish on slave ships and sending them to Jamaica, to Trinidad, as far out as Australia. This guy, Russell Crowe, he's not an Australian. He's a descendant of the Irish that was sent out to Australia. Russell Crowe is not one of them down under guys, even though he has the accent, because he was born there and grew up there. His ancestry really goes back to Ireland. He's an Irishman, but he speaks with the down under accent because he was born and grew up over there. A lot of Irish were sent out there to Australia and sent into Jamaica and Trinidad, all of them different islands out there. They were put on slave ships and they were sent out there. Because there's a lot of history that they don't talk about. You go and look at pictures in slavery and you'll see you had white and black slaves. Those white slaves, those were the Irish. A lot of them was as indentured servants. Whereas the Negroes was straight up slaves. A lot of them were indentured servant. Indentured servant, I believe you worked for them for like 7 years. Then after that, they let you go free. Which that goes back into the scriptures when it tells you if a Hebrew has another Hebrew in slavery, you cannot rule over him with rigor. So if this brother and this brother and this brother were under me, working on my plantation, they were working for me, I couldn't rule over them with rigor. But the other nations, I could stomp the shit out of them. But I can't do that with them because they're one of my people. But they're working under me so they can build up their own thing so they can go and start their own thing. And that's in the scriptures. If a Hebrew has another Hebrew as a servant, you can't rule over him with rigor like that. And then he works for you for 7 years, and after 7 years, you let him go and you give him enough substance so he can get his own land, his own cattle, and build his own thing. And that's what that 7 years, that's called a severance package. They call that now a severance pay. And that's how, if we dealing with each other like that. But if we dealing with them other nations, man, we straight put our foot in their ass sideways. Sideways, like they doing us. They putting their foot in you sideways. And they sticking it to your woman all kind of ways. How about that? They getting the baddest of your woman and they in your face, in your neighborhood, and they sticking it to her all kind of ways. But you ain't getting they women. A lot of them Arabs that's in the ghetto selling that crackhead chicken, they fucking all kind of black and Hispanic chicks. How many of you dudes is out there banging Arab girls? How many of you is banging them East Indian chicks? Except for if you in Jamaica, because there's a lot of East Indians in Jamaica, so they getting their hands on them East Indian chicks in Jamaica. They even think that they Jamaican. They're not. They're a bunch of East Indians that speak with a Jamaican accent of what they is. But how many of you is out there banging them Arab chicks or them East Indian chicks? How many of you out there getting them? Because their men is getting our women. That's how you know a nation is totally destroyed, by how easy it is to get to their woman. That's how you know a nation is destroyed. Our women are everybody's fucking whore. Everybody's goddamn whore will give you a hard time. But she'll go out there and fucking suck everybody, but give you a hard time. Go ahead.
Daniel 9 and 12. He hath confirmed his words which he has spake against us, against our judges that judge us, by bringing upon us a great evil. For under the whole heaven have been done upon Jerusalem.
Right, the Lord said, for under the whole heaven has not been done as what has been done to the Jerusalem. The thing that has been done to us